Oh, okay. It's so weird. Do you think I should try and do it on here? Yeah, I can try clicking it, but I feel like, is it even Google Hangouts? Oh, because YouTube does that? I don't know. Oh, shit. Would you? Right. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. We're so excited to. Isn't it?
Nope. Maybe it is live.
Oh, sorry. Apologies for the technical difficulties. Had a little bit of computer trouble this morning, but thank you for joining us for the Semi-Finalist webinar today. My name is Meredith Newmark. I'm the Senior Program Director here at ASCOR, and of course, I have my lovely colleague here with us, Alyssa, who, of course, is a Partnerships Manager here. So thanks so much for joining us. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see our slides. Switch to this. So hopefully you all can see my slides. And I'm going to start the presentation so that you can hopefully you see our slides right now. So you've been invited to this webinar because you've been invited to sign the semi-finalist agreement. So you were all at one point designated as semi-finalists. Some of you have confirmed and some of you haven't your availability, but we want to invite everyone to learn more about the fellowship and the placement process. So if you've been invited to sign the agreement, that confirms that you're available for a 12-month fellowship beginning on January 22nd, 2019, or April 15th, 2019. You agree to the terms and conditions of the fellowship. You agree to bring the required $500. And then you're eligible for a visa, you're committed to returning home or to your region after the fellowship, and you're open to being placed in any US city. So you're probably, if you've looked at the agreement before, you're probably familiar with a lot of those terms, but we want to go a little bit more in depth. What does it mean to be a semi-finalist? What do the next steps look like? And what's that process? So we're gonna go over the fellowship itself. Alyssa's going to explain the placement process and tips that she's seen from many candidates. Going through the placement process, what are the best tips for success? And then we'll take some questions from you. Feel free to post your questions in the chat box on YouTube, and we will answer them at the end of the webinar. All right, so a little bit about our model, which you're probably somewhat familiar with, but as a kind of a review. Atlas Corp brings talented global leaders and connects them to top social change organizations in the US. So these global leaders are people like you, individuals between 22 and 35 years old with a university degree, fluent in English, and committed to social change and returning home at the end of the fellowship, and with typically at least 2 years of professional experience. And then if you're accepted to the fellowship, there's two major components. The one that fellows spend most of their time in is the service at their host organization, which means a full-time placement, typically 40 hours a week, at nonprofit, private sector, academic, or government organizations. And Alyssa's going to talk a little bit more about our host organizations later on. And the other part is a training series that we call Global Leadership Lab. So it's in-person and virtual leadership development series that covers topics that range from project management and communications and marketing to topics like business chemistry, or it's overall just a leadership development program that brings in experienced practitioners with a global perspective to help develop our leaders who are here in the fellowship as a practical or sometimes a theoretical complement to the more practical hands-on learning at the host organization. And then together, those two pieces of training allow not only host organizations and fellows to amplify their social impact,